All men should watch this. Never do this with a younger woman if you are an older man. There's a moment, and if you're an older man dating, or even thinking about dating, a younger woman, you will hit this moment. It's the moment where everything you built, your confidence, your composure, the respect she had for you, it can vanish. Not because of your age, not because of the gap, but because of one single mistake almost. Every man makes without even realizing he's making it. Today, I'm going to show you exactly what that mistake is, and the 4 things you must never do if you want this to actually work. Welcome back to Powerful Mindset. If this is your first time here, this channel exists for one reason: to help men, real men, at every stage of life, think clearer, love smarter, and lead with strength instead of ego. Today's topic is one that gets requested constantly in the comments: age gap relationships. Specifically, what happens when an older man enters a relationship with a younger woman, and why so many of these relationships collapse within the first year. Here's the uncomfortable truth nobody wants to say out loud. It's rarely the age gap that kills these relationships. It's almost never her family, her friends, or society's judgment. It's the older man himself and the mindset he brings into it. So if you're currently in a relationship like this, considering one, or you're simply curious why this dynamic fascinates so many people, stay with me. By the end of this video, you'll understand the 4 fatal mistakes, the psychology behind why they happen, and exactly how to avoid becoming another cautionary tale. And if you find value in this, all I ask is you hit that subscribe button. It genuinely helps this channel reach more men who need to hear this. Now let's get into it. Mistake number 1, and this is the big one, is trying to prove you're still young. Here's what happens psychologically. A man reaches his 40s, 50s, sometimes 60s. He meets a woman 15, 20 years younger, and somewhere in his mind a quiet insecurity switches on. A voice that says she could have anyone her own age. I need to compete with that. So what does he do? He starts changing. He downloads the same apps she uses. He tries to talk in her slang. He stays out until 3 a.m. at clubs his body isn't built for anymore. He spends money he doesn't have on things he doesn't care about, just to look current. And here's the part that stings, she notices. Younger women who are drawn to older men are very often drawn to a specific quality: groundedness, stability, a man who knows exactly who he is and doesn't flinch when the room gets younger around him. The moment you start performing youth instead of embodying wisdom, you don't become more attractive to her. You become a stranger wearing a costume. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine a man, we'll call him David, 52 years old, successful, built a business from nothing. He starts seeing a 29-year-old woman named Elena. For the first few months, things are incredible. He's calm, funny, confident, everything that drew her to him in the first place. Then the insecurity creeps in. He starts noticing her scrolling through photos of men her age at the gym. He starts asking questions like, "Do you think I'm too old for you?" He starts showing up to her friend's birthday party in clothes that don't fit who he actually is, trying too hard to blend in. Elena doesn't say anything at first, but 6 months later, she tells her best friend something quietly devastating. "I miss the man I met. I don't know who this is." That's the trap. The very insecurity that makes you chase her youth is the exact thing that erodes the reason she wanted you in the first place. So here's the fix, and I want you to actually sit with this. Your age is not a liability you need to hide. It is the asset she is attracted to. Stop performing 25. Master 52. Now, if this is resonating with you so far, drop a comment below and tell me, have you seen this happen? Either to yourself or someone you know. I read every single comment on this channel, and I want to hear your experience. Mistake number 2 is far more subtle, and honestly, far more dangerous. It's using your life experience, your money, your position, your years as leverage instead of partnership. Here's the thing about being older. You likely have more resources, more stability, more knowledge of how the world works. That's not a bad thing, but it becomes toxic the moment you start using it to control the relationship instead of contributing to it. This shows up in small ways at first. I've lived longer, so I know better. You'll understand when you're my age. Let me handle that. You wouldn't get it. Every one of these phrases sounds harmless in the moment, but stack them up over months, and you've built a relationship where she's not your partner anymore. She's your student, or worse, your subordinate. Think about this from her side for a second. A younger woman choosing an older man is often looking for depth, not dominance. She wants a man who has wisdom to share, not a man who wields that wisdom like a scoreboard, constantly reminding her who's ahead. I want to tell you about a pattern that shows up again and again in real relationships like this. It's called the silent shrinking. She stops offering opinions on financial decisions because he always overrides her. She stops planning trips because he already knows the best places. She stops suggesting restaurants, books, ideas, because somewhere along the way, she learned her input doesn't carry the same weight as his. And here's the tragic part. The man usually doesn't even notice it happening. He thinks the relationship is peaceful. He thinks she's easygoing. What's actually happening is she's disappearing in real time. A real partnership, regardless of the age gap, requires you to treat her opinion as equally valuable to yours, even when you have 30 years more experience than she does. Especially then, because wisdom that can't listen isn't wisdom. It's just ego with a resume. If you're an older man in a relationship right now, ask yourself honestly, when's the last time you changed your mind because of something she said? Not agreed to keep the peace, actually changed your position. If you can't remember, that's worth sitting with. Mistake number 3 is one of the most destructive, and it's rarely talked about honestly, obsessing over her dating history, or worse, her future. Here's what happens. An older man starts wondering, will she leave me for someone her own age eventually? Am I just a phase for her? Is she going to look back at this and regret it? These thoughts feel private, but they never stay private. They leak out in sarcastic comments, in passive-aggressive questions about her ex-boyfriends, in constant, exhausting reassurance-seeking that slowly poisons the relationship from the inside. Picture this scenario, and if you've lived it, you'll know exactly what I mean. A man named Marcus, 47, dating a 26-year-old woman named Priya. Every time she mentions a male friend, a co-worker, even a celebrity she thinks is talented, Marcus feels a spike of dread in his chest. He starts checking her phone. He starts asking who liked her photos. He starts subtly guilt-tripping her for going out with friends without him. Priya doesn't leave because of the age gap. She leaves because she's exhausted from constantly proving her loyalty to a man who can't seem to trust that she chose him. That's the truth most men in this situation refuse to accept. Insecurity doesn't protect a relationship. It slowly strangles it. Here's what real confidence looks like instead. It's not pretending the age gap doesn't exist, or acting like insecurity never crosses your mind. You're human, it will. Real confidence is feeling that doubt and choosing not to let it drive your behavior. It's trusting that if she's with you, it's because she wants to be, not because you've built a cage disguised as a relationship. Quick gut check for you watching this right now, and be honest with yourself. Do you trust her, or do you just monitor her? There's a massive difference, and only one of those builds a relationship that lasts. Let me know in the comments if you've caught yourself doing this. This one's hard to admit, but admitting it is the first step to actually changing it. And now mistake number 4, the one that ties everything together, and honestly, the one that hurts the most when men realize it too late. Mistaking the intensity of attraction for the depth of a real partnership. Age gap relationships often start with an incredible spark. There's novelty. There's excitement. She's drawn to your presence and stability. You're drawn to her energy and openness. It feels electric. And because it feels so powerful, many men assume that feeling alone is enough to sustain the relationship forever. But here's what nobody tells you. A relationship with a real future, regardless of the age gap, needs alignment on the things that actually matter. Do you want the same things 5 years from now? Kids, location, lifestyle, ambition? Are your values compatible, or are you simply enjoying each other in this current season of life? I think about a story a viewer shared with me last year. A man in his late 50s, married briefly to a woman 26 years younger. In the beginning, everything felt perfect. But 3 years in, she wanted children. He was already emotionally done raising kids from a previous marriage. Neither of them had that conversation early. Because the chemistry was so strong, it felt like it would just work itself out. It didn't. And the divorce that followed wasn't about age. It was about two people who never did the hard work of aligning their futures. Because the present felt too good to interrupt with honest conversations. If you're an older man in a relationship like this, the single most powerful thing you can do, earlier than feels comfortable, is have the direct conversations. What do you both actually want? Not what feels good right now. What do you want in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? A relationship built only on attraction is a beautiful beginning, but it is not by itself a foundation. Here's what I want you to take away from all of this. Age gap relationships are not doomed. They are not inherently wrong, shallow, or destined to fail, despite what society loves to whisper about them. What destroys them is exactly what destroys any relationship. Insecurity disguised as control, ego disguised as wisdom, and attraction mistaken for alignment. If you are an older man and you want this to work, truly work, not just survive the honeymoon phase, here's your responsibility. Be secure enough not to perform youth. Be humble enough to treat her as an equal, not a student. Be confident enough to trust her without interrogating her past. And be honest enough to align your futures before the chemistry fades and reality sets in. Do that, and the age gap becomes irrelevant. Fail to do that, and no amount of charm, money, or chemistry will save it. So that's the truth almost nobody says directly. If you're an older man in this kind of relationship, or thinking about entering one, I hope this gave you something real to reflect on, not just something to nod along to. I want to know, out of these 4 mistakes, which one hit closest to home for you? Drop it in the comments. Whether you've lived it, watched a friend go through it, or you're just being honest with yourself for the first time. I read every comment, and this conversation genuinely helps other men who are quietly going through the same thing. If this video gave you real value, do 3 things for me. Hit like. It tells YouTube to show this to more men who need it. Subscribe if you haven't, because we're building something real here about strength, clarity, and living without illusions. And if you know a man in your life navigating this exact situation, send this to him. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do for a friend is hand him the truth before he learns it the hard way. Until next time, stay grounded, stay honest, and stay powerful.